Hey, it's me Pinky. Last update we got what I think a lot of people want, and a lot of people don't want: Premium Bow Commander, which will most likely lead to more Premium Bow Commanders. Why, I will try to explain over this video. I will try to go over how I think the commander works. I asked a few people, but no one could explain me, so I hope my guessing is correct. And then I will try to explain why he's kind of in a weird state right now, and why I think this will lead to more commanders. But okay, enough of the intro, let's just go. So the bows get by far the most pretty and beautiful commander so far. Cossomo, I think stat-wise is pretty good. He gives you 50% bowman attack, which leads to like 110% or something awakened. You get 25% total health, which are like 40%, bit more awakened, and you get archer's damage increased by 7.5%, which is pretty good because that goes up to like 12% or something if you awaken him to 3 stars. So stat-wise and offensive-wise, you can't really complain about him. My problem with Cossomo is kind of his awakening. Let's just look over his awakening. It's the poisoned arrows. When allied bowmen attack, there's a 5% chance to shoot corrosive arrows, dealing damage equivalent to 150% of the troop's attack to the target lineup and inflicting 1 stack of corrosion. Each 10,000 royal bowmen or ancient bowmen in the attacking troop increase the chance to shoot corrosive arrows by 1%, up to 30%. Corrosion, every 1 stack of corrosion reduces the target base health by 2, stacks up 10 times. There are, for me, a few question marks without having the skill theme. The first would be, is the corrosion an extra shot, or is the corrosion just shot multiplied by 1.5, which means 50% extra damage? I would assume it's just multiplied by 1.5. And then if you think about both attacking around 20 times in 40 seconds, and every like 1/3 basically of those attacks will be corrosion attacks, there's the question how many extra damage you will get from this. Why 1/3? Because I think going to 30% is pretty easy, because you need 25 times 10,000, which is 250k. You should always have 250k. If you don't have 250k bows anymore in your fight is going very badly anyways. So it's absolutely no problem to reach 30%. And then you have 5 lineups. Each does 20 attacks. And that's down to 100 attacks. Makes 30% of them corrosion. Means you have 30 corrosion attacks. So you get 30 times 50% extra damage. This is 1500% extra damage you get from the corrosion attacks, which is not a lot, I would say, because if you compare this to stuff like Sinara or Layla or Rhea, when she turns every crit into bleed, I would say that is really not strong, especially if you consider the price of the commander, which being the 1k pack. But then we have the second part, which means you reduce the base health by 2, stacks up 10 times, which takes you 1/3 of the fight, basically. So let's say you have 35 seconds, because in the first 5 seconds normally nothing happens. So after like 12 seconds, so from second 17 on, you should have this maxed. So then you have another 23 seconds where you do more damage maxed out. And also this is, I think, a bit weird, because let's just dive into troop stats. So let's compare the tankiest troop, which is T5 infantry with 106 base health. And then you can add 18 on this for green sides. So you end up with 124. And then you use 20 base health, that is not even 20%. And you have also defense, so your damage should go up by like, let's say 15-ish%, something like this, compared from the start to the end. But there's also the other extreme. A lot of bowman players are bowman traps with a lot of bowman T1. And imagine they don't have green sides, they don't have anything, they have 28 base. And then you reduce 20 base from their T1s. That is basically taking away 70% of their health, which should boost your damage massively. So this skill is kind of weird. I think on an eye-to-eye battle, it's also not too strong, but it could be very strong when his main hand comes out, and it's not limited to 20, but it's limited to 40, for example. So we have to keep an eye on this on the future. I think the meta with Cossomo is anyways, we have to keep an eye on him for the future, because most of you would assume he's a crit and bleed commander, but he isn't. His text doesn't say critting, so he won't trigger rare, because rare needs crits. Then we also have Sinara, when Ali melee troops use normal attacks, so no bowmans with Sinara, so no extra. So he doesn't work with bleed. What does buff him is, of course, Kavros. With 20% more extra attacks, you also get more corrosion, you also get more worth out of Cossomo. And if you 4-star his main hand, you have 27% more attacks. Most likely Kavros and Cossomo will be paired together. But then there's the problem, most bows currently run female. So if you run Cossomo bows with Kavros, Cossomo, and I don't know who else, honestly, versus females with disarms, females will disarm your bowman, and then your bowman will do less corrosion. There is, however, another commander, Melisandre, that works kind of like Cossomo. She also has a chance to deal additional damage. What I think will be coming, because I don't think Cossomo fitting in any synergy, is Melisandre being kind of like the same synergy enabler as Layla are, as Sinara are, and it's Jamie. Then we will most likely get a Drake, Salma, and Rhea for bows to like enable the bowman synergy. And then as cheap bows, you just add Kavros and I don't know what else. Maybe we get more bowman commanders for 50 BD or so. And then you add Cossomo into this, and most likely 2 other bowmen for expensive prices. And then soon the fourth will come, for all the other synergies. Soon is of course who knows how long this will take. But if you can remember one of the last surveys, we had the question of what we think Oberon Greyjoy would be as a commander. And of course he was also asked if he would be a fitting bowman commander. So I think bowmen will get their own synergy, and until they have their own synergy, I think Cossomo is kind of in a weird spot. I don't really think his awakening is too strong, unless you fight an uphill battle anyways, and then the health reduces, of course, the base health reduces, of course, very strong. On an eye-to-eye battle, I don't really see him having that much of an impact, but of course, depends a lot on what will happen in the future. If they get a full-on synergy, he might be very good. If his main hand passes from 20 to 40, for example, I think he will be very strong. But even then, it's kind of a bit weird, because right now you play both females and I don't really see him fitting in the females. So let's see what the future brings. I just wanted to talk about my first impression about the commander. Let's see how right or how wrong I am, and how many people will laugh about me in the future. See you in the next video.